Well, this is the parenting, present-day parenting segment. Carissa, we should mention, is on assignment this week. Paula Johnson, a licensed clinical social worker, is back with us today, making it through the rain this morning. It was really coming down out there. We're talking about divorce and the effect that it has on children. It always has some effect, does it not, Paula?
Sure. Well, in my situation, I work with divorce in two different ways. One, I'm a divorce mediator, and what that means is I work with parents when they're considering going through divorce. We come and we talk about things as far as where the children are going to be staying, things like that. Also, I work with a child as the parents are going through the divorce.
Okay.
So my role is, two different areas.
So there's an emotional effect on these kids, certainly.
Well, some type of symptoms that we do see would be, the anger of the child. They could be angry at one parent that might be leaving the home, or just we see anger whenever the kids are in school, more fighting, especially with little boys. They seem to, show their frustration more that way.
So there's a difference the way girls and boys handle this situation.
I have noticed that with the little girls, they tend to have more stomach aches and a little bit sleep disorders, those sort of things, where the boys are usually at school and, fighting with the other kids at the school.
That's kind of in general, whatever stress levels they have, I guess, as far as males and females, a lot of times.
I do see that. And other things that I see when a child is going through divorce is they often have a preoccupation with if their parents are going to be getting back together. And
always hopeful of that, certainly.
Yes, and I see that going on for several years with the child.
Sometimes these are really intense breakups, and that makes it a much more of a problem for these kids.
Yeah, I always tell parents that it's really not divorce that hurts the child, it's the conflict that we see in divorce. The goal is to make the stress level as low in the home as possible and not to share too many of the details with the child. A child, whenever they hear one parent say something about the other parent, that's almost like saying something about them.
Because they're a product of those two people. So
very much so.
Yeah, a lot. I guess we'll talk about this in the next hour too. But when parents are going through a divorce, sometimes they think too much about themselves and really not enough of the kids, I guess.
Right. I encourage the parents to focus more on the child, and also to encourage the parents to, if they're having difficulty, to work on their mental health issues and to manage the anger, because the child feels that within the home, all the stress, and then that's shown through their symptoms.
Oh, sure. Well, we'll talk more about that coming up.
Okay.
Thank you, Paula. Time for our present-day parenting segment, and Paula Johnson, a licensed clinical social worker, is with us this morning to talk about the factors about a child's what happens to them during a divorce or a breakup, and what are some of the factors, Paula, that influence a child's behavior at this time?
I think the parent's ability to focus on the child's needs is the most important thing when a family is going through a divorce. And when parents do this, a child usually does really well. As you know, probably half of our children are living in homes, couples in two different homes. And these kids do well. The parents do a great job when they think of the child and the child's needs first. And also, I would say the intensity of the divorce and the duration. I encourage parents to, explain to the child what's going on, keep it simple, and keep the conflict low. And of course, whatever happens in a child's life, if the quality of the relationship with the parent is good, that's going to support the child going through the divorce and make the child feel safe.
But a lot of times the child is just left in the middle. There isn't much direction in a lot of these situations. So that's where you come in, and where they need to think about the child, of course.
Right. There's probably 4 things that I would encourage a parent to remember, and one would be just the fact that a child only has one childhood, and the child needs to go through this in a stable, normal situation, and it's the parent's responsibility to keep things, the conflict low. And a child really does have a relationship, has an absolute right to have a relationship with each parent.
Right.
And for parents to remember that an attack on one or another parent is really an attack on a child, because they feel like that's part of who they are. And also I would say that, I always tell parents it's really not divorce that hurts children. I know a lot of children who do really well in divorce situations, but it's the conflict, that constant turmoil, and a child feeling that they're not in, a safe, normalized environment.
They feel like a pawn in the situation.
Yeah, often they do. So it's really up to the parents to, keep the conflict low in the child's life.
And good communication, I suppose, too.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much,
Okay,
Paula,
thank you.
for being with us today.